Hello, I am Baron-Quipity, and welcome to Baron-Quipity, a podcast of quips and tips by a hip librarian gamer. Let's get right to it. Welcome to episode 3 of Baron-Quipity. AppSir Incorporated has certainly created a very engaging and realistic narrative that can be gleaned not just from its games, but also from YouTube videos, websites, and social media pages, all intended to support that intriguing, cohesive narrative. But what is AppSir Incorporated really? As much as I love getting into the fictional AppSir universe, I'm sure I'm not the only one to wonder what the real-life story of this company and its founder, Darius Guerrero, truly is. Well, that's what this episode of Baron-Quipity is all about. Along with all of that, I will also be going into what brought me into this series in the first place. Consider this a real history of AppSir / real history of Baron-Quipity history of AppSir. I thought this would be a good way to continue to build up interest in my AppSir Marathon stream on Twitch on Sunday, June 7th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. In that stream, I will be going through every game and relevant piece of AppSir media to travel through the AppSir timeline in celebration of my first 1,000 Twitter followers. I hope that stream in turn will generate interest for AppSir's next game, Hopbound, which will release on mobile and PC platforms just 2 days later. For the information in this episode, I've taken bits and pieces from several sources, including the official AppSir Incorporated website, an interview, and direct communication with the developer himself. AppSir does a pretty good job of blending fact and fiction, which is part of why I'm a big fan of their immersive narrative. But here, briefly, is the brief real-life story of the Philippine-based AppSir Incorporated as far as I've been able to tell. Darius Guerrero made his first game using Visual Basic in 2008 for a high school project, and made 3 more games soon after that using Visual Basic and, somehow, PowerPoint. Ever since then, Darius wanted to be a game developer. Outside of school, however, he didn't have internet access or decent computers, so he started other hobbies. He made some short films and comics, some of which won him some contests while in college. Darius graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology, and his first job after that was as a facilitator and resource speaker for seminars sponsored by the Philippine government and other companies. What really got him interested in game development? He met a girl. Yes, get your eye rolls and ahs out of the way now. But seriously, he met a girl named Daphne Ayala, and she loved mobile games. Naturally, Darius wanted to impress and surprise her by making a game for her. She loved it, and even now they've been together through thick and thin for a number of years. Anyway, they established AppSir Incorporated in 2015 and worked together with friends and family to develop and release a fair number of apps and games, several of which are no longer publicly available because they're just not part of the AppSir narrative. The official AppSir games available, in order of release date, are as follows. The Last Yandere on November 18, 2017, Dairy.exe on February 7, 2018, Sorority Rights written by Daphne on March 5, 2018, DairyEvil.exe on July 3, 2018, Proto Dare on January 24, 2019, Artificial Iridescence on August 6, 2019, and, soon, Hopbound on June 9, 2020. Many fans and several gamers on YouTube have praised AppSir's games for their unique ways they tell stories through platforming, visual novels, and meta-horror. Darius himself compares the games to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in which the visual novels tell individual stories, while the Dairy games bring the characters together to really advance the narrative. AppSir did release another game called Demo.exe. It was released on archive.org, or archive.org of all places, on September 15, 2018 as an old classic for MS-DOS. This game and its presentation is unique in that it looked for ways to once again blend AppSir's fictional narrative universe with reality, kind of like an online ARG. However, for personal and professional reasons, Darius has removed that game and is no longer part of the official AppSir canon. Later on, Proto Dare was released, which essentially told the exact same story, but I think it does so in a much better way. Around the same time that Demo.exe was removed, Darius started his own personal blog where he shares personal thoughts as well as any advice he has about various aspects of video game development and marketing. This blog he felt would be the perfect place for him to just be himself. Because on all other social media platforms, he tends to act like he would in his own fictional narrative, kind of passing himself off as a villain of sorts, at least when it comes to the Dairy games. More information about this, as well as more of Darius Guerrero's real-life reflections about his life and work, can be found in that non-canon blog, dariusguerrero.xyz, if you're interested. When asked about the inspiration behind his games, especially Derry.exe and DerryEvil.exe, Darius cited various horror stories, especially ones involving haunted video games, along with the urban legend of Polybius, as well as CIA's Project MK Ultra. I don't know how long it took for Darius and company to come up with such a complex and engaging narrative from these and other pieces, but by golly, they've done it, and they're still doing it today. So, how did I get into it? Well, I personally love mobile games. Certain kinds of mobile games. Mobile games done well, I should say. I know games on mobile tend to get a bad reputation among certain types of gamers, and I mean, I don't blame... Excuse me. Oh, sorry. And I don't blame them, honestly. There are lots of things about certain mobile games that can be like rather frustrating or odd, or just like, feels like it's psychologically manipulating, all that stuff. But there are honestly lots of mobile games out there that are really good. Oh gosh, there's a sneeze coming on. Is that okay? No, never mind. And the AppSir games are among those, honestly. So yeah, there it was. Oh gosh, sorry about that. Anyway. But yeah, I often go onto the Google Play Store and look for new games to try out and stuff like that. And I kept seeing this horror game, Derry.exe, and it said something about like, do not download this game. We did not try it. We did not put this game on the store. Somehow she put the game on here, and do not download it or whatever, or she will get you. That kind of thing. The kind of thing you'd expect from like creepypastas or other like horror games or whatever. And like I kind of assumed it was something along the lines of like, some pixelated horror games along with like Five Nights at Freddy's, and I personally wasn't a huge fan of that kind of thing. Like horror games that focus on jump scares. Eventually, though, I saw it enough times on the Play Store that I'm like, you know what? I'll try it. I'll check it out. I'll try it. And I played that, and I was rather impressed by it. And then I checked out some of AppSir's other games, which at the time included DerryEvil.exe and Sorority Rights, and seeing this complex narrative and how it was connected made me want to get more into the community to see what the community has found. I was going all game theory on this, right? Because I think there are a few similarities between myself and MatPat, although MatPat, I definitely admire everything that he does. But that thinking and like going through evidence and everything, I love doing that kind of stuff. As a librarian, I love, looking at information, organizing it, like trying to find the truth from that information and that kind of thing. Looking for evidence to support certain things. So I entered the Amino app for. There were a couple of Amino apps that were made for the AppSir fans. So I entered one of those and talked with a few people there. Someone in that Amino app thought it'd be fun to make a Discord server, and that person was Sonic Castle. And so Sonic Castle and I, in May 2019, created the AppSir Discord server, which is probably the most active place for AppSir fans right now. Admittedly, it's not the most active Discord server out there, but there are hundreds of AppSir fans there, and whenever we sometimes have like activities and talks and whatever. And Darius himself hangs out in that server. So anyway, I thought, you know what, there should be a wiki for AppSir, right? Like there's so much going on, so many pieces that a wiki would be very, very helpful to be able to kind of piece everything together to help other people. So I sent an email to Darius asking if there were plans for a wiki to be made, an official one. He said, no, go right ahead. And so there we go. And that was basically the beginning of my correspondence and online friendship with Darius Guerrero. And so, going through from the Amino app onto the Discord server, creating the wiki, the AppSir Wiki, which, by the way, Darius has recently revamped the format of it, not the information in it, but the format, and it looks wonderful. Like I'm talking like Pacha from Emperor's New Groove meme, like these hills sing kind of thing. Really good, really good. Master of blogger, I tell you. But yeah, I've kind of been a fan ever since then. It was probably about 2018. like early to mid 2018 when I became a fan of AppSir. I think I became a fan of Brawlhalla shortly after that. But yeah, there you go. That's how I got into the series. And so yeah. So what now? Well, as I said in my timeline episode of Baron-Quipity, Darius and his company continue to give occasional updates on social media, and a good crowd of AppSir fans, like I said, have met and gathered in the Discord server and a few other places, but mostly the Discord server. And yeah, you can go to appsirwiki.blogspot.com for the AppSir Wiki. I made that as an attempt to help myself and others piece together this complex and fascinating story that continues to unfold. So at the time of this episode's posting, besides Hopbound, many more games are planned in the series, including Dairy Vengeance, Last Yandere 2, and several unannounced titles. In the meantime, there are lots of mysteries in the AppSir universe that have yet to be solved. There's so much more to more to come for AppSir Incorporated and their games. I've been able to interact with Darius online on a number of occasions, and his ambition for the company, as well as his sincere, earnest interest in his story and his fans, is quite evident. His generosity and gratitude to those who play and publicize his games is similar to, if not greater than, many other great indie devs out there, and I admire and appreciate that. The AppSir Games series was the first set of video game lore that got me interested in making a wiki site for it, even before Brawlhalla, which I am admittedly more well known for right now. It is one thing to make a good video game. It is another to craft a good story, an engaging story. It is quite another to put a good story into a good video game. The real challenge is making a unique experience for your games, for your players, and taking full advantage of the interactivity that is unique to the video game medium. AppSir Games accomplished all of this, and so very well, in my opinion. Their meta-horror platformers include challenging puzzles and mind-boggling hurdles I've seen legitimately nowhere else. The horror of these games lies not just in their stories or their graphics or their sound, but their very difficulty helps the player feel legitimate dread, or rage, when they fail, especially if they have the sneaking suspicion that some sentient being in the game is watching their every move. I even find the visual novels captivating and innovative. Several of them have a little platforming minigame contained within them, and they each show just enough information to get you interested in the characters as well as in the overarching connected plot. In short, AppSir Incorporated, in my opinion, is masterful at saying so much in their games with seemingly so little in terms of resources, at least compared to AAA game companies. I'm quite sure almost all of their games are made with the same engine, Buildbox, and seeing the diversity in the content and mechanics throughout the series using that same engine is nothing short of impressive to me. The company description on the AppSir website is as follows. AppSir Incorporated creates visual novels, retro platformers, and horror games with intertwined stories. While that is certainly true, this statement, like the games themselves, has far greater meaning and implications the farther into the series you go. As far as I know, as a fan who lives halfway across the world from AppSir Incorporated headquarters, I can at least say that AppSir has made a very meaningful and positive impression on me so far. I'm always happy to discuss theories or answer more questions about this kind of stuff. You can contact me by email at barondipitus@gmail.com or on Twitter at bdipitus, or just leave a comment below and I will certainly respond. And that concludes this episode of Baron-Quipity. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, my friends, make it a great day. All the best.